Hi patrons, I am finally here with your July makeup video. So sorry it's taken me a little bit to get this out to you. My moving situation ended up being a little bit harder than I expected it to be. So I didn't really have a place to film, and then I didn't have access to my makeup, and then there was all this other stuff. Anyway, excuses aside, I have your look for today. And what we're going to do is continue in the elementals that I was doing before. So we've done fire, we've done water, and then we did earth, so now it's time for air. So for air, of course, a lot of times people think of like blue sky, but we've already done a lot of blue stuff because that was the water thing. So we're still going to use blue, but we're going to add yellow to it. So we're not going to make green this time. But we are going to go ahead and do a slightly different technique than what I'm used to. So we're going to do what's called a cut crease. Don't feel too intimidated by this. I haven't really done cut creases a lot either, but it's actually easier than it really seems. And we're going to do the really easy way, not the hard way. So the hard way is actually drawing the crease with something dark and then going in under it and around it. But that's using like liquid liner and it's really scary, so we're not going to worry about that. So let's go ahead and get going. So you're going to need a yellow color. So I'm using my Ben Nye, and this is the one that's called Lemon. And then I'll be also using my Kryolan. We're going to be using the light blue and the dark blue for this. Not so much of the dark blue, but we definitely will be using the lighter blue. And then for the lightest blue, so this is my really horrible Maybelline palette. It's terrible. It's not that great of a palette. It's a drugstore brand. It's not pigmented, but we're going to be using this really, really pale blue as kind of a starter for the crease. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. So of course we're going to use my Urban Decay primer and get that on there, just like we always do. And we also will be doing lip stuff too, but it'll be slightly different than what we did for the water one, but it'll be similar colors. So it'll be close, but not exactly the same. Okay, so now that we have primed our lids, we're gonna take a nice big blending brush. And I'm actually going to use a super fluffy one. So this one is not my usual blending brush, and that's okay. You can use your regular blending brush if you desire. So like something like this if you want, but I want even more fluff. So I'm going to go ahead and, for at least this portion of it, use a bigger, fluffier brush. And I'm going to go ahead and take this light blue. And again, it's not very pigmented. You're not going to see a lot of it. And then I'm going to find where my crease is. Now I have kind of a challenge for me is because my eyebrows are very, very close to my crease. So I don't have a lot of space. I mean, you see these YouTube stars where they look like they have this much space in between their brows. And then of course their brows have been plucked, which I don't do. And so they have this huge amount of space in between there. So I'm working at a little bit of a disadvantage, but that's okay. Everyone's eyes are different. Totally fine. So you get to see what a cut crease looks like on someone who has a deep crease and a low crease. So let's go ahead and start. So I'm going to get kind of close so you can see what I'm doing. So right in the crease, I'm going to go ahead and start kind of marking where this blue is going to go. And you're not going to see very much of it, and that's kind of the point. So the easiest way to start a cut crease is to work a light color into a dark color right in the crease. So I'm not going on the eyelid itself. I'm just going on the crease. And you can see there's almost barely nothing on this. But we're going to build it. And so we want to build light first, and then we'll go into dark. So using this big fluffy brush and blending all into the crease. And I'm going to kind of go back and forth to build. So this is all about building and blending. So if you've ever heard people talking about blend, 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 a lot of times they're talking about these cut crease sort of things. And that's what we're going to be doing. So building that up, big, nice, fluffy brush. And I am trying to stay away, and don't worry if you get some on your lids, but I am trying to stay away from that as much as possible. All right, so now I'm going to switch back to my regular fluffy blending brush. So now I'm going to have my smaller one, and then I'm going to go in with the lighter blue. So this blue from my Kryolan. And I'm going to have a little bit more control over it with this brush, and I'm going to use sweeping motions back and forth. So I'm going to start here and then go and sweep across. So building again our cut crease. And so you're probably sitting here wondering, why are we using yellow for this? And that actually goes with, so I'm pagan, and yellow, and so we work with the 4 elements, so fire, earth, water, and air. And in our workings, we have correspondences. And so what things correspond with what element and that sort of thing. And I don't use correspondences a lot, but one of the things that we have is color. So in this case, blue is more associated with water than it is with air, even though like the sky is blue and all that. And that's why water is blue, because it's clear otherwise, right? But in paganism, and specifically in Wicca, air is yellow. So that's why we're going to be using yellow. But of course, we don't want to have just yellow because that's kind of weird. So we're adding the blue in there to kind of make it look nice and airy. All right, so I have my crease, and you can see I'm swiping back and forth to really blend everything in. And then I'm going to go on the other lid, avoiding the eyelid itself as much as possible. And my cat's going to be kind of freaking out, so sorry if she gets distracting. I had to close this door. See? Hi, baby. I had to close this door because otherwise she'd be meowing to get in. But yeah, if I keep it open, then it's kind of a problem. You can see into my kitchen, which is still under construction from all of the moving. So it's kind of too distracting. So instead you get a distracting cat. Still sweeping back and forth. Sorry, kitty. She's voicing her displeasure. All right, so we have both, and I am bringing it out a little bit to kind of create a wing. And now we're going to go in with the darker blue. And I'm going to be a little bit more careful with the darker blue, and I'm going to primarily keep it just kind of on this outside, and then very carefully pull it in towards the center. So again, avoiding the lid as much as possible, but you can see the difference now. I have that darker blue coming in and blending it in towards the inner corner of the eye. So you can see we've built the lighter blue, and then we're putting the darker blue on top of it, and it's building up this nice, it already looks like a pretty decent cut crease already. Like I haven't even really done the cut crease, but you can kind of see it as it is. And that's just from building up the color. Okay. And then the other eye. So really packing it on the outside first and then bringing it across to blend. And then I'll wing it out to the sides a little bit, which is optional. You don't have to do it that way if you don't want to. But to make it a little bit more dramatic for stage, of course, you want to have a nice wing. and blend. Okay, so this is where we are so far. I'm going to go back to this light palette, and I'm actually going to go ahead and do my brow bone with the lighter blue. So I'm just taking that blue again and coming up onto the brow bone to highlight that. And then lightly just blending that in, just using the same brush because it's fluffy enough and this blue is kind of just bad enough where I can just go ahead and smear it up there. So brow bone. Okay, so now we're going to talk about the cut crease. And so I did a pretty decent job in actually keeping the blue primarily off my lid, but what we're going to do is we're going to take a concealer, and you can actually do this, and I wanted to do this, and this was part of the reason why there was a delay, was I wanted to use a NYX eye crayon for this, but I was having problems locating the one that I wanted, so I wasn't able to get it. So we're just going to go ahead and go with normal concealer. You can use, if you have like the type of primer that's actually the white color, you can use that. So you're going to go back with the primer on top of the lid in order to basically create that cut crease. I highly recommend something that's creamy rather than something that's powdery because you don't want it to blend into the blue. And then we're going to take a flat brush. So the smaller the brush, the better. Unfortunately, this is the smallest brush I have for this sort of thing. It's a flat brush, so this is basically like a concealer brush. And we're going to use this concealer, and I'm going to take a little bit onto my brush, and then I'm going to very carefully pat it onto the lid and then up to the crease. So basically I'm erasing any of the blue that I did get on the lid and creating another surface basically in which to put my yellow. So going right up, and this you have to be kind of patient with. So going right up to where the crease is. Don't be afraid to take it slow, and sorry, you're going to hear my cat bathing herself. Okay. And then I'm also going to take this out to the side a little bit. Not like that though. Okay. And then on the other side, doing the same thing, going ahead and taking my time to pat the color on and going right up to the crease. And then I'll wing that out just a little bit to the side. Okay. All right, so this is what we have so far. Now I'm going to go ahead and take my yellow and just a regular eyeshadow brush, and then I'm going to very carefully put the yellow only where I have put my concealer, because we do not want the two colors to blend. So we're not looking for green. So you may have to get kind of close and bring the yellow right up to the line where you have the blue. And then I'm also going to take this into the corner. Just like that. So you can see there's no real blending of the two colors together. So I have yellow and then I have blue, and that's what we want. And then the other eye. Again, packing on the color nice and thick on the concealer. And this is going to pop even more if you have used like a white pencil or something like that. It's going to stand out quite a bit more. And that was actually what I was hoping for, but did not get. But the concealer ended up working just fine, so I'm not too upset about it. Okay, so now we're going to do the under part of the eye, and what I'm going to do is, even though since we can't really do a cut crease, I'm going to do the yellow just on the inner part of the eye. Kind of the inner third. And then I'm just going to go ahead and take the dark blue that I was using before and then just do the rest of the under eye and not blend it. So we are going to have a little bit of a sharp contrast, and that's okay. And then right where I had winged it out a little bit, I'm just going to kind of bring it out underneath that wing, just to give myself that little bit of an interesting eye shape. And it's almost a little bit Egyptian. Okay, so there we have that so far. So now we're going to go ahead and line everything just like we have before. Nice dark line. And if you want to, you could actually do blue on this instead, but I almost never use blue liner. So we're going to use black, as I always do. And I'm actually not going to wing this because we have that little wing out on the side. I'm just going to go right up to the edge of the eye. And then for stage, of course, we're going to want to bring it all the way into the inner corner. But I'm not going to do my regular little thing that I do with it. Okay, a little uneven, easy to fix. Oh, the cat's being adorable. Hey, sweetheart. All right, other eye. So just bringing it down to the outer corner. And evening that out a little bit. And mascara as usual. upper and lower. And of course, feel free to put on fake lashes. I'm not going to do that again for today because you've seen me do it before. So we're not going to worry about fake lashes at all. But for stage, of course, I highly recommend fake lashes. Oh, cat. Do you want to see this silly pud? That's what she's doing right now. Lying on her back and washing her face. We're going to line the waterline now. So I'm using my MAC kohl pencil as usual and going to line the waterline in black. And again, if you wanted to use blue, you certainly could, but I never use blue for my eyes in terms of liner. So just use black is fine. All right. Of course, making sure that the waterline actually gets lined. If you're like me and your eyes water a lot, and then get rid of it, that's fun. Okay. So I'm not going to do the rest of my face because I've kind of done that before, but I am going to show you what I wanted to do for lips. So we have our yellow here and everything, so it looks good. So we're going to basically kind of do the same thing with our lips. All right, so now we're going to actually do our lips, and we're going to do something that's kind of similar to the eyeshadow, where we're going to do, it's not really a cut crease, obviously, but we're actually going to do, and it's not even really ombre, but we're going to do blue on the outside and then the yellow in the middle. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and line the lips first, and I have a blue lip liner. And as usual, I can't really talk while I'm lining my lips, but basically I'm making that bow shape in my middle part of my lips, drawing just on the outside, and then I'm going to make the M, and then coming up from the inner corner up rather than the liner here going down, and so I don't get that duck lip that I don't really enjoy. Okay, and then bottom lip, same thing. Just making sure that's even. Okay. So now I'm going to take a little lip brush type thing, and even though I'm going to be using, it's the same blue that we used before, it's Black Pearl from Jordana, and it's actually, it's a matte, the Midnight Magic, and it's actually a blue, so it's a nice dark blue. And it does have an applicator, but it's going to be a little bit too clumsy for what we want. So from the applicator, I'm just going to go ahead and take the color onto my thin brush, and then I'm going to put it on the outside corners and pulling it in just a little bit. And I'm going to bring it to just about the pout. And then I'm going to go ahead and go underneath. Getting a little bit more color here. So we're having to be a little bit precise, and that's fine. Okay, I'm going to get some more color and do the upper lip. Same idea. And on the other side. All right, and then I'm going to take it across the top. All right, so this is what we have so far. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a little bit of just basically gloss on the inner part, just so our eyeshadow has something to stick to. Okay. Now you may want to be careful with your yellow. For some of them, the lipstick might be, or the eyeshadow might be kind of toxic. So you want to be really, really careful with how you apply it, and whether you don't want to be like licking your lips or stuff like that. This might be something that you do right before you go on stage and then take off right after you go on stage. It depends on the formulation of your eyeshadow. It depends on the color, that sort of thing. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take our eyeshadow brush, and I'm going to take the yellow, and then I'm going to pat on the yellow. Of course, I have cat hair on it now. Figures. And I'm actually wiping my brush off on my skin a little bit to kind of get some of the gloss off, so that I'm not putting the gloss all over my eyeshadow. All right. So this is our look for our air elemental. Kind of different. I really like how the lips turn out. It's kind of fun and interesting. And you can certainly go darker in the blue if you like. In fact, I would probably go back in and clean that up a little bit. But I don't know, like I said, I don't use the cut crease that much. And then you can also put glitter on. I highly recommend glitter, especially for the part of the lips here. And there we go. So you'd have a full face, and this is what we would look like afterwards. All right, so I hope you enjoy. Thanks again for being patient. I will have a August look for you as well, but that'll be a little bit later in the month like I normally do. All right, so have a great month and thanks again.